Hey all, welcome back to another video. What I've got here for you today is I've been working on the streak tracker project the past couple days, just on myself. What I wanted to add was this new feature for uploading images and photos, and that's one of these things I've done in the past, but you do it one time, you kind of completely forget how to do it correctly with testing and stuff like that, and that's the way we do stuff on this channel. We're trying to do things the quote unquote right way where it makes sense. Some things where we still need to refactor, but adding tests and stuff like that, that is definitely a practice that I want to just continue having, continue to practice. So let's jump in. I'm going to show the prototype, and let's go ahead and get up our Docker. And when I use this, and let me talk about what our project, where we're going with this. So let me switch to the correct console. And how we're going to be storing files is using Google Cloud Storage. So I just logged into Google Cloud, and I'm just going to do storage, and I'll show you what we've got. So I've made this new bucket in here. If you haven't worked with any of these features like this, a bucket is essentially, you can kind of think of it like a folder, and now maybe that folder has some different permissions and different properties for things in that bucket, in that folder. But that's what this is at a high level. So let's just click this, and we can see it's just a picture of my desk. So we are actually able to upload this. So let's go to the project now, and I'll show you where we're at, and then how we're actually going to take this current code. So we have this photo thing, and we have a new item here where you can do choose file, and we could add this file. So let's add this one. We'll go to our upload started, and if we refresh here, in here, we will see that so it's the same exact screenshot, and we'll need to actually manage that over time, especially because we don't want people to be able to overwrite this. But you'll see that our last modified date was actually incremented, so we can see that this photo was actually added. So how are we doing that? First, there is the whole front end component. That's quote unquote done. This doesn't look great. We don't even see that the file was uploaded. This doesn't actually act like we would expect for a file upload. But then also in our back end, how does this look? So this really is just added in a very rough manner. And if you'll see here, this is right in our app itself. It's not even under a route. And I just basically copy and pasted a bunch of stuff from ChatGPT and got that working. So you'll see this is our authentication to actually talk with Google Storage. We've got our bucket, and then we've got all this. When you hit this upload, when you post this upload route, we'll actually do the upload itself. So that's what we want to test. We want to add tests for today, and that's what we're going to do. So let's go ahead and make a folder, and we're going to call this photos. And in that photos, we're going to make a route called index.js. So the interesting thing about this as well is that we are going to be able to upload photos, but in reality, this is going to be on the task route itself, right? We're going to quote unquote complete a task route, and that's going to send it up through that. So maybe we need to actually think about how do we actually extend our existing routes to handle this logic. Because, and truthfully, yeah, we're really going to be creating a test that is hitting this new route. And so that makes you think, well, if that's what we're doing, like, are we really going to add this file is getting really, really, really large at this point. And this file is getting really large at this point. Do we really want to add this rather large bit of logic in this test? My answer to that, at least for now, actually is maybe we should just do this and get this post correct, and we'll see how our put logic changes over time. I do think it's very possible we're going to want to refactor this at some point, but I think for now, maybe we can just continue to add to this file, and then in another video, we'll do some refactoring. So in today's video, all I want to do is we're going to add the simplest test to actually do this uploaded. So this is going to be a photo task. When you post completed, it should respond with a 201 and the completed task. And yeah, the data is going to be the URL to that image. So how are we going to do that? First, I think what we can do is let's go ahead and ask ChatGPT, how do we test this? How can we test using Jest Express TypeScript? How do we uploading a file to a Google bucket? Yeah, so this is doing some mocking. We already have our Jest set up. We've got Express. We already have our route. So let's actually even go in here to our route itself. And just to be clear, I actually also have a couple new libraries that I've added, including this busboy, and I think that might be, and then this Google Cloud Storage modules. So if you're following along, you might need to also import those. So let's come back to so we have this mock here, and mock resolve value. Okay. Simulate file upload here. Okay. You can do this in a mocks folder. Okay, so let's actually look through this in your Jest test file. So should upload a file successfully. This is the mock itself here. And then this is the actual posting, and then we'll check the 201. Okay, so that's really interesting here. So let's go ahead, and what we do want to add is that file that I had before. So let's go ahead and grab that. We'll just take that same screenshot and we will put it into our, we'll make a new folder called test data, at least for now. And we'll just throw that screenshot in there of that. And now what we'll do is we're going to go into, we have a photo task, should respond with a 201. So this should respond. So we are, and we're going to do this attach idea. So that's what we're going to do here. We're just going to attach. We're still going to have this set authorization, but we are going to also then have this attach idea. So buffer, and then this is attach file, buffer from your file data. Your file data, how to create a buffer from a file locally in above example. So, because this, we can actually write out how this is going to look. This is going to be source. Let's make sure that we are importing just like, so we're doing this relative directory or relative paths. We probably don't want that. We should be down around here. So I suppose, let's just see, file buffer. Okay. So this is path to your test file.txt. That's interesting. I think we can just and what was this? A file buffer is like that. Okay, let's go ahead and we're gonna put path join. This seems wrong here. Replace path to your test file and make sure your upload route matches path to your test file. Maybe we can just do this guy here. Well, so we'll do a relative path. Maybe we'll just throw this guy in here and we'll just call it test data. And we've got screenshot. Okay. Let's go ahead and import our file system module. Import fs from fs. Okay. So here's our file buffer. And we are going to use this file buffer and we're just going to call the file name test ping. We won't actually call it this file name. And let's actually see what comes through our. Let's go back to our app. Well, first, let's just go ahead and run our test here. So we're going to our API, npm run test, and let's just see what happens. We do know we're going to have to take this logic and go ahead and run all this code on it. So pipe the request into busboy. So this has nothing to do with the response, and that makes sense. Okay, should respond with the 201 and the completed task. And it looks like it's failing at, it says no such file or directory. Read file sync. So that's interesting. Oh, it's because this should be test data / that. Let's see if we're still getting, so are we still getting the same failure? It says read file sync test data. Okay, so what if I do this dir name? All right, because we are in the same directory. Oh, we actually need to go up one level. So let's try this. Oh yeah, and it's because this really should be within the task folder, not one up. So let's go back. And this really should be like this. And maybe we have to use the dir name idea. Okay. Dir name plus. And let's see what our results end up getting. Okay, so that's cool. So we can't mix send and attach. Oh, do we have a send? Oh, it's because we have this send at. And yeah, I suppose we do need to change this. So let's go ahead and, for at least for now, we're going to, well, let's ask ChatGPT this. Okay, let's see what it says. I suppose if we don't, we're going to have to get these different fields. All right, so well, that kind of makes this a little bit more of a pain, because now when we're trying to, I mean, I suppose we can do this. We'll just have to handle these uploads a little bit more uniquely. And I suppose that's fine, because we can still validate. But yeah, this does present somewhat, we'll be getting our complete a little bit different. But let's see if we can, yeah, you can even see that we are hitting the route now, but we're getting these 400s, and that's because, well, we don't even echo, let's go ahead and look at the response itself. So let's look at the response, and we're probably going to get something like the complete lat is not even set, if I had to guess. Oh, let's do the body, and let's see what's coming back out of our response here. Yeah, we are getting data provided is not a single emoji. Oh, and that's because, oh, we need a new task that we should be hitting. So that's our other problem. So let's see, when we get task 4 equals, we need a new task, and we're going to call this task 5 equals, and we're going to make a new task called, we're going to test photos. And this is going to be 5th, and this is going to be photo, and we're going to put these once every day. Test photos, photo, and once every day. And task 5, which means all these places where we have task 4, we need to update all these. So let's go ahead and see if there's any more. What about task 4, comma? Yeah, this guy here. And our length should be 5 now. Let's look for any more task 4s. Let's see what our tests are looking at now. Are we passing everything except for the one? Yeah, we have expecting 3. This is set 763. Let's bump this guy up. Oh, that's failing there, but the ordering of this perhaps. Oh, and it's because we're task 5. We need to make sure we're searching for the right item. How many failures did we have last time? We had 3 failures, so we probably still have 1 more to fix after this. This guy is probably, yeah. We have 4 tasks now. All right. So yeah, now it's complaining that this completed ad is a required field. Data provided is not a single emoji. That's kind of interesting that that's coming back like that. I was not expecting that response, honestly. Else if task type completed at is a required field. Well, really, we should not be looking at the task type should not be an emoji. So let's see. Do we have a photo? Yes, we do have a photo. So let's go back to our test and let's see anywhere we're doing task 5. So task 5, we have photo here and that looks correct. So let's see where it's failing. And it is failing. Oh, it's because we're using a task 4 still for our completed. Let's come here. And our only failure is the required field. So let's do this idea here where we do field and we will just do completed at and we'll do yesterday just like this guy. Okay, throw that in like that. I guess we need to put that string idea to ISO string, perhaps. What's the difference between ISO? Okay, this is like the full string. Okay, so that looks fine. It's still going to complain though, because when we post, we are going to, it's not actually seeing this. So let's go ahead and see if we can get past those validations. So let's close some of these unused files right now as well. We'll bring this in the center. So this is in our validate task. And when we are validate task completion update. So this is, let's look for our post. So we have our post there, and then we have this other post that is validating our, so we have these request parameters, but then we have the request.body. Let's look at the request.body when we are completing it. And what we'll also do is we're going to say if task.type is equal to photo, then we're going to log out the body. And let's just see what's in the body, because it's possible that we're not even having anything. Yeah, so we're not getting anything. So how can we access the above field keys in an express route? How do we do that without using Molter? We do have access to Busboy. I'm really just trying to avoid needing a ton of libraries, honestly. But we'll see. This is a file. Well, perhaps this is, we can use, okay, Busboy to handle the form data. So on field, handle form fields here, you can now access the field name and value. So this is somewhat interesting. We have this Busboy on field property, and how can we access the field before needing to access the file? Because what we would rather like to do in a multi-part form data request process, the fields and files are streamed and handled in the order that they appear in the request. However, if your client sends the fields before the files, which is commonly the case, then busboy will emit the field events before the file events. Yeah, so this is, it's almost like we are, I mean, if we don't, I can see that we have this, we're getting this field format. It makes you wonder if we should be uploading separately, returning that back to the front end, and then doing a separate post with the location to the new file in the and maybe that's the way we need to do this. Maybe we do need a separate upload, and that actually returns the URL to the upload, and then from there we save that in the task itself. I think that might actually be better than trying to completely rewrite these complete routes. And so because of that, I think we can add a new route, and it really will be called, we're going to just call this upload, and we'll have an index on it. And really there will be no, so we're not going to handle this post route at all currently. So we'll have this, and we'll also have an upload dot end-to-end dot test, and this will be doing all of our testing for us. So we are still going to want to do our validation. We don't want to allow people to upload without, validating that they're online. And so that code is in here, I believe. So we're going to want to abstract. I believe that's in here. Let's see. Verify token. Yeah, this verify token, we do want to abstract this out. So we'll have to do that. But yeah, so we're gonna change strategies a little bit, and let's go ahead. I think we can honestly copy a lot of this, and we'll just go to our task 4, task 5. Whoops, this is not what we wanted to do. We wanted to grab a lot of this test perhaps. Task 5. And that would be this guy here. And really the rest of our tests we can remove from here. I just figure this might be easier. It's perhaps not. All right, so because I think we're going to have some of the same mock data. So this is going to be our upload route. And we're just going to test /upload. Should respond with a 201 and the URL to the file. All right, so maybe it's not the URL to the file. Maybe it's the name of the file, perhaps. Because if we're going to, unless we end up just making like a UUID, but then that's going to allow, I think we would, because we don't want to allow people to access other people's files, and not even be able to like kind of fish around. So I think we'll just provide signed URLs in order to access the contents. And so we don't really have a problem just trying to use the name of the file that was uploaded. So we don't need any of these dates. We do need the file buffer though. And we are just going to be simply posting to the upload route. We are not going to have these fields at all. We are going to want to have this authorization. We do want to have and the status be a 2.1, and then we are going to have file name. We want this to equal test.png. So this is what our test is actually going to do. We don't need to add anything like this. So we can remove a lot of this extra code. We will potentially want, we are going to need this JSON web token still. And another thing we'll need is we're going to need to be able to mock stuff. But for now, let's go ahead and we're going to test, but we're going to test this new file. So we're going to do source, source, and then upload. Why is this complaining about source, upload? Oh, it's because it's source, routes, upload. So we're just going to run these tests within this folder. And we should get a 404, I'm guessing, first, because there is no... Yes, our test data now actually needs to be moved to our upload. Okay. So we're going to rerun this. We probably get a 404 because there is no... So this actually is doing a test. This is actually running, and it did work, which is pretty surprising. So that's curious. That's very curious. So let's what we're going to do is we're going to mock out some of these other tests that we're going to write, and then and the next video will kind of come in here and we'll add all the tests for this. So test that the file is the real question is, do we want to make this hit a real bucket? That's to me is a real question. Or should we mock the Google bucket? So I would say if we mock the Google bucket, our tests will be more. It's less brittle, but it's not realistic. So maybe we actually do hit the entire thing. I don't see the reason why it would be bad. The biggest thing would be, if we ran it again, it ran it again. I guess we're quote unquote having to pay for these uploads, and technically our tests could be slower because they're actually, going out and actually hitting Google. But I think perhaps this would be fine to do. So let's keep it as is. So let's test that the file is actually uploaded to the bucket. Let's test that only authenticated can upload files. Test that a file cannot overwrite an existing file. Because we don't want to overwrite anything really. So we're gonna have to come up with some uniqueness there. What other? ideas do we want? Yeah, perhaps instead of having this file name though, if we did the signed URL, so yeah. What other items would we need to test for our file upload? We want to test that we cannot upload a file with a name that is too long. I don't think that's upload a file larger than. Sure, but how large is our current file? Can we see this here? This is 300. Yeah, I think 5 megs. Yeah, we shouldn't be able to upload a file that is larger than 5 megabytes. That sounds good. And maybe we'll up that over time. Test that we can only upload image files with extensions. Sure, we'll just use those. So we'll just do PNG. I don't even know what some of these are, but we do want to be able to upload a file from like somebody's computer. I mean, somebody's iPhone or something, for instance. So test that we can upload a file from typically taken by a iPhone or Android. So we'll see what file those are. I know when I take pictures on my iPhone, I'll get like a live photo. So I don't really know the format of that, but we do want to allow that to be uploaded essentially. Yeah, I think that is about it. So what is this? Task UID to equal really what we want is this to come back as true. It's going to come back with task.png, and that's what we want to come back initially. So okay, with that, I think do we want this whole URL or should we just end the rest? Yeah. Okay. So that's going to be it for part 1 of this video here. We kind of just were finagling our way through on how we want to design this app. In our next video, we'll come in and we'll actually get these tests working. We'll move our routes over and yeah, we'll get all these working. After that, we'll have to then modify our old task routes themselves. We'll also, the other thing is maybe we should be calling this not upload, and maybe this should be called, we'll change this last thing. So it won't be called upload. We'll call this Google Storage. And we will actually call this upload and retrieve. Yeah, so we'll have an upload route and a retrieve route. So then we'll have this type of thing. So then test retrieving a URL. So we want to be like only the user. So only we want a signed URL to access the data that lives 1 hour. Because what we want to do, if we want to make sure nobody can access other people's stuff, and we're going to keep everything in the same bucket. So I'm guessing we're going to want to like protect the actual the ability to access those. So I guess we could have the actual link to those file names, but or maybe we don't. We don't want users to be able to see files from other users. That's the biggest thing. So we'll have to add some tests for that as well. These are all on upload, but we'll just call this. We're going to rename this guy to Google Storage End-to-End. So yeah, that's what we're going to do in our next video. I will see you guys then. I think this is its own little task. It's a little bit more involved, and you know, we could quote unquote get it working, but how do we get this working correctly? How do we get it where people can't just modify their URLs and access other people's photos and stuff like that? We want to take a little bit of time to get this right. So I will see you in the next one.